Good morning, children. Today we are going to start our new lesson, Control and Coordination. See, in the last chapter, the life process, you studied some functions involved in the maintenance of the living organism. In this chapter, we are going to study about the movement and how that movement is controlled. See, in our body, there are so many physiological processes are going on. These processes to be controlled, and this is done by our nervous system and our endocrine system. So, in detail, we are going to study the endocrine system and our nervous system. See that there are different types of movements we have seen. See the plants germinating. If we plant a seed in the soil, that seed is germinating. That is also a type of movement. Then the plant's growth. See the small seedling, that sapling comes out, then it becomes a small bush, then into a big tree. These are the parts of their growth. In animals also, there are some type of movements. You are seeing a cat running, children playing on swings, buffaloes chewing cud. These are also movements. But these movements are not caused by the growth. A cat running, otherwise children playing on swings, buffaloes chewing the cud. These are only some processes taking place. These are not concerned with the growth. So, why do we associate such visible moments with our life? Anyway, there are some moments which are responsible to our growth. See how the movement is taking place. All movements, these are controlled by the nervous system. All movements are in response to, all movements are connected with the response. What is the response? If you touch a hot object, what will you do? You first leave out your hand. Why? Because that hot is a response. So, the movement in relation to the response. Then, what is the need of the movement? Need of chemical communication, multicellular animals. See, the cells cannot continually create and transmit electrical impulses. What is impulse? Impulse means the charge, that is the movement. See, sometimes if you hurt your legs, after only some time you feel a pain. Why? Because that pain, that movement that is moving from our leg to the brain, that is the impulse. See, the cells cannot continually create and transmit electrical impulses. So, they need another means of communication, that is our nervous system. So, the why? So, the first question is this one. What is the need of chemical communication in multicellular animals? Cells cannot continually create and transmit electrical impulses. Our messages are transmitted by these impulses. The cells cannot transmit continuously. One cell is not big enough to transmit all these impulses. So, there is not a continuation. So, they need another means of communication. So, that is the chemical need. Need of chemical communication in multicellular organism. Now, we are moving to our chapter Animals Nervous System. See, which are the basic unit of the nervous system? The nervous system consists of the brain, spinal cord and the nerves. See, the basic system in the nervous system is the neuron. I think you already studied about the neuron. Neuron means it is the biggest cell in our body. That neuron consists of the three parts, the cell body, dendron and the axon. Cell body, that is the central part that consists of the nucleus. There is a figure in page 115, you have to draw that figure. Then around that nucleus, you can see the cytoplasm. Then some branches are arising, that branches are known as the dendron. Then the dendron divides into smaller branches known as the dendrite. One dendron elongate and it becomes the axon. See, now we have to study what is a response. There are some specialized type of nerve cells. That specialized type of nerve cell that is known as the receptors. Specialized type of nerve cells. All information from our environment, it is detected by some specialized types of nerve cells. These are the receptors. So what are receptors? Receptors means the information from our environment is detected by some specialized tips of some nerve cell, and that is known as the receptors. See, you can smell any smell with your nose. So that there is a receptor in our nose. That receptor is known as the olfactory receptors. Then you can taste everything. That receptor, it is seen in the tongue. That receptor is known as the gustatory receptor. So the gustatory receptors detect the taste, olfactory receptors detect the smell. So I think you understood these points. First question is what is the need of the chemical communication multicellular animals? The answer is the cells cannot continually create and transmit electrical impulses, so they need another means of communication. Then there are some specialized tips of some nerve cell, and that is known as the receptors. The receptor present in the nose is the olfactory receptors, and the receptors present in the tongue is known as the gustatory receptors. Then how the messages are transmitted? The messages are transmitted in the form of impulses. These impulses are carried by the nerve cell. So the structure of the nerve cell consists of the cell body, then the dendron branches into dendrite, then the axon. Then how the impulses are transmitted from one nerve to the another. See, the information acquired at the end of the dendrite. The long branch is the axon. At the end of the axon, they have some branches, and that branches is known as the axonite. This axonite meet with the dendron of another cell. See, imagine there are two cells are here, two nerve cells are here. The message is carried by one cell and it reaches at the end of the axon. The end of the axon branches into axonite. This axonite is meeting with the dendrite of another cell. The two cells are close together. One cell has the axonite and the another cell dendrite. These are meeting together. But it is not combined. There is a gap in between this. A small gap is there. That gap, that is when the impulses come from here, from the axon, from the axonite, it is passing to the dendrite. Here a chemical is released at the time of the passing of the impulses. That chemical creates an electrical. Chemical crosses this gap. This gap is known as the synapse. So synapse is the gap between the axonite and the dendrite. So when the impulses reach this gap, that is the synapse, a chemical known as the acetylcholine is released there. That creates an electrical impulses. From here, the information is passed to the next cell. I think you understood. See, the messages carried by one cell. When it reaches at the end, that is the end is the axonite, then the impulse is released to the gap. That gap is known as the synapse. When the impulse reaches the gap, there chemical is released. That chemical is known as the acetylcholine. That creates a fluctuation there. From there, the impulses are moved to the next one, that is the dendrite. So like this, the impulses moving from one cell to the another and finally reaches the brain. This is how the impulses are transmitted. So I think you understood. We can study in the next Zoom class. So thank you.